Born in Burlington, Vermont on October 20, 1895, John Dewey was known as an American psychologist, philosopher, educator, social critic, and political activist. Growing up, John Dewey attended Burlington public schools, excelling as a student. When John Dewey was 15 years old, he enrolled at the University of Vermont, where he focused on the study of philosophy. 4 years later, John Dewey graduated second in his class with his bachelor's in 1879. John Dewey taught 2 years of high school in Oil City, Pennsylvania, and 1 year of elementary school in Charlotte, Vermont. John also went on to receive his PhD from Johns Hopkins University in 1884. Shortly after, he began teaching at the University of Michigan. However, John Dewey's story doesn't end there.
In his early studies, Dewey was exposed to the concept of evolutionary theory, where he began to look at the theory of natural selection, and this would continue to have an impact on his thought throughout his career. He studied under the physiology teachings of G.H. Perkins and the evolutionist T.H. Huxley. He continued his studies under George Sylvester Morris, a Hegelian philosopher who taught the organic model of nature characteristic of German idealism, and later, Dewey gained an appreciation for the scientific methodology, thanks to the teachings of American experimental psychologist G. Stanley Hall. Dewey felt Hegelian idealism was not conducive to the methodologies of experimental science. He started to believe in a naturalistic approach to the theory of knowledge. His view on knowledge stems from the adaptation of humans to their environment, which states that adaptive human responses to their environment actively restructure those conditions around them. The process states that there is an obstacle to human action, followed by a manipulation of the environment, where the human tests a hypothesis and readapts to the environment, allowing them to proceed in their action. He disagreed with the static models of nature, suggesting the importance of studying the interaction between human and environment. This approach understands thought from a genetic basis, as being the product of the interaction between the human and their environment. Dewey believes knowledge serves as a practical instrumentality in guiding this interaction. To describe his new approach, Dewey adopted the term instrumentalism. He continued his study of the process of learning, where he argued an alternative view, stating that humans interact with their world through self-guided activity, integrating sensory and motor responses. His implications made it clear that the world is not passively perceived and known, but that the environment is actively manipulated, and this is fundamentally involved in the process of learning.
John Dewey's influence on education, as well as education reform, is the most significant of his contributions to social psychology. Dewey's theories influenced many experimental models of the time. A technique called project-based learning has Dewey's work at its foundation. It involves a dynamic classroom and engages the students in active learning, which leads to a deeper understanding, and this goes really well with his belief that humans learn best by doing. John Dewey saw the old education system as flawed. He said that students learn in a variety of ways, and teaching with such a passive approach is not beneficial. It was an input-output system that did not take individual differences into consideration. His progressive approach is still seen today in school settings. We have the ability to check our coursework ahead of time, the ability to be taught in different ways and environments, such as lecture, group work, activities, and even placement. If we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow. Progressive theory in the educational field is yet to be matched. There have been inspired variations in the curriculum, techniques, and school construction. However, the basis and the principles were all left the same. In 1930, Dewey said in an article, "What humanism means to me is an expansion, not a contraction of human life. An expansion in which nature and the science of nature are made the willing servants of human good." Humanism was an important influencer to Dewey, and he saw a great opportunity for positive social change. Dewey's work in psychology has been noted to be influenced by Kant and Hegel, with a great deal of emphasis on the empiricist and utilitarian ideas of them. His work in the field of education is also influenced by the theories in public education promoted by Plato.